Alright, so you might be wondering, how does one make the perfect steak sandwich? Is it the bread, the meat, or is it the cheese? Or any of the other toppings? And to that I say, well, it depends. But if you want to find the most perfect and $10 steak sandwich, well, then I got you covered. Hey folks, welcome back to another episode here at Time Out Kitchen, where I highlight fun recipes and tell you how long they will take and how much they will cost you. Well, normally anyways, because in this video it's no surprise that I set out to make what I believe to be the perfect $10 sandwich. How long it takes to put together, on the other hand, well, you have to wait a bit later in this video to find out. Anyways, what truly makes a great sandwich is darn good ingredients, and with that in mind, let's walk through those ingredients right now. In this case, this amazing sourdough baguette is where I went, and of course you could switch this out for your favorite bread, but I highly recommend you check out your local baker and find something that really stands out. Next, you want to grab this ridiculously expensive organic grass-fed ribeye. Now, of course, this is where all our money is basically going in this $10 sandwich. You can see the beautiful marbling and that deep, rich color. Now, of course, I could say you could replace this with something else, but we're trying to land on the perfect $10 sandwich, and let's be honest, last time I checked, the tomatoes aren't really going to run up the price on this sandwich. But speaking of tomatoes, we're going to need a lot of toppings for this sandwich, so you're going to need everything that you see right here. Now, I understand for everybody that their ingredients are going to vary a little bit, but we're going to start with some fresh arugula. It's going to add a nice peppery note to our sandwich and has that green color that we're looking for. To that, we're going to add ourselves a half of an onion, which we're going to chop finely, as well as about half of this red pepper, which we're also going to chop into thin slices and cook this down. Then you'll want a tomato. Any tomato is fine, but get a fresh one. And of course, finally to that, we're going to add a bit of freshly grated cheese. This is some old cheddar, which I'm a big fan of. Now, of course, you don't need to shred the cheese like this, but it makes it easier to snack on, so do what you like. To that, you're also going to add yourself some parsley. This is just going to go well with our onion and red pepper mixture. You can also throw in a bit of basil here like I did and just mix up some of those greens. Different flavors are going to be really nice. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's all you're going to need for a sandwich. Of course, it's pretty simple, but we've got one more thing to highlight, and that is going to be this homemade mayo. Now, if you were here recently and saw our crab cake video, you'll know that this homemade mayo is just a lemon garlic mayo. Super simple, and you can actually check the recipe up in this card here where I go through it during the video. Alright, so that's it. That's all the ingredients that you're going to need for this sandwich. Again, guys, sandwiches have to be, in my mind, very simple and very delicious. So while we've got that covered, let's go ahead and get to the prep. Oh, but of course, before that, B-roll. Alright, with that mouth-watering B-roll out of the way, it is now time to prep your steak. So go ahead and grab your salt and your pepper and give this a very healthy seasoning. Don't forget to be pretty liberal here with your seasonings, because again, we're keeping it really simple with some salt and just some freshly ground black pepper. Then when you got one side nicely coated, go ahead and flip this over and repeat the process on the other side. And make sure you give this a quick pat down so that you get all of that salt and pepper into the flesh, and then just go ahead and rub this down on the plate so you got every inch covered. With that done, go ahead and move your steak to the side because we got to prep our bell pepper, which we're going to quickly cut into thin slices. Now, this reminds me a little bit of what you might do with a sausage with peppers and onions, and I just really like that combination, so that is what I went with. Then just sprinkle these dramatically onto your cutting board before moving on to your onion and doing the exact same thing. I'd also recommend that you don't cut your onion too thin because you want them to have a slight bite to them. Anyways, moving on, it is time to grab yourself a pinch of parsley as well as a couple of leaves of basil. So go ahead and put those down, roll them up, and give them a quick slice. Again, sprinkling for effect before moving on to your tomato, which I'm going to cut quite thinly, but of course you can cut this thicker if you like. Then just grab your baguette and cut this into whatever size slices that you would like before cutting this down the middle to create your perfect sandwich vessel. So with that done, it is time to move to the stove where we have a pan on medium-high heat. Put down about 2 tablespoons of a neutral oil and then dump in your onions and peppers. Now ideally my camera would focus on the food and not the lip of the pan, but here we we are. So once that's cleared up, go ahead and give this a quick mix. Now, after about 5 or 6 minutes, the mixture should start to look translucent. So give that another mix. We're adding in 2 to 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. This is going to give it some sweetness and a bit of acidity, and of course, that lovely dark color. Let that cook down for another 2 or 3 minutes, and then you should have something that looks a little bit like this. And with that done, it is time to replace this pan and put on a cast iron skillet because it is steak time. So grab yourself about 1 tablespoon of neutral oil, a little pat of butter, and then lay in your wonderful grass-fed beef into the pan. While the steak is sizzling away, this is the perfect time to toast your bread in a 350-degree oven or your toaster until golden brown. So after about 5 or 6 minutes, it is time to flip over our steak, and we have a beautiful crust built up. This is exactly what we're looking for. But we don't have time to admire our work because we have to get basting. So grab yourself a spoon and begin basting that butter and oil mixture over top. Now you could add a crushed clove or 2 of garlic as well as some rosemary, but sadly for me, I did not have any. Anyways, with your butter basting complete, go ahead and render the fat on the side of the steak, making sure you get every nook and cranny. Once that's done, it is time to take this off the heat and let it rest for about 5 or 6 minutes. And yeah, after about 5 or 6 minutes, basically all we got to do now is prep our amazing sandwich. So to start, go ahead and grab that beautifully cooked steak. I mean, look at the color here, guys. It's rested for about 5 or 6 minutes and it's super juicy. And to drive home the importance of letting this meat rest, let me go ahead and show you this cross section. A beautiful medium rare, wonderful marbling and fattiness, and remains super juicy. This is why we spent all that money on this beef. But teaching moment aside, it's time to cut this into manageable sandwich-sized pieces, so go ahead and begin to cut this into, well, sandwich-sized pieces. I do recommend keeping the cuts a little bit thicker because it's going to have better texture and also keep it a little bit more moist. Moist. Alright, well I feel dirty, so let's move on and grab our bread and go ahead and add some of our lemon garlic mayo. Now this bread is pretty thick, so we're going to put on a thick helping of our mayo. To that, we're going to put our arugula with lemon and olive oil, as well as 2 of our thin tomato slices. And here it's important to season your tomatoes with a pinch of kosher salt before grabbing your pièce de résistance, our ribeye steak. And you're probably going to want to pile this on high because it is damn delicious. To that, you'll add 2 healthy pinches of that old cheddar cheese before grabbing your other bun and putting down some more mayo. And to this top bun, you'll be adding your warm pepper and onion mixture before slapping this on top and completing your sandwich. And no sandwich is complete without a wonderful cross section, which you can see right here. The bread is beautifully toasted, the meat is fatty and perfectly cooked, and of course we have that wonderful lemon garlic mayo. You can really see all the layers, but the last thing we need to do is take a bite and test this out. Yeah, if that wasn't ASMR enough for you, I don't know what will be. This has all of the layers that I love. The beautiful fattiness from the meat combines so nicely with the garlic and lemon of the mayo, and of course you have that sharp cheese that kicks through, and a nice little acidic note that comes from our onions and our peppers. And there you go, our perfect, most $10-est steak sandwich is done. Now of course this is just a half of a sandwich, but at $10 you might be thinking this is a bit expensive, and of course you could cut down on that cost if you use, say, chicken or marinated some other meat like flank steak. But what really separates this is that wonderful, amazing ribeye, and of course that's what also kicks up our price. And for those wondering how long this sandwich will take you to put together, it took me a total of 18 minutes. And 16 of that was spent on cooking and resting the meat. And there you go, our perfect mouth-watering steak sandwich, and all of the fixings are done. So thank you so much for watching until the end of this video, and as always, thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. We will see you in the next one.